Hello everybody, welcome back. It is smack dab in the middle of spooky season, October 17th, 2025. Listening to episode 217 of Midnight Film Society. I'm your ghost with the most host, Damian Sherman. Joining me today, as always, is...
Derick McDuff. I didn't realize. I didn't get the memo. We had to come up with a spooky name.
I had a spooky name. Do you want to shoot one off the hip? Or just do a hip shot?
No, I don't got anything. You know.
Okay. All right. On today's show, in lieu of any big releases, Derick and I will be going over what spooky movies he and I have been gorging on. But before that, we'll get into some movie and TV news, go over some what we've been watching, and finish up with our Letterboxd assignments. Right into the show, midnightfilmsociety@gmail.com, midnightfilmped on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. Subscribe on Pocket Cast, YouTube Podcast, Spotify. Rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend, family member, or stranger. What's up, Derick? How are we doing?
I am doing well. I will say I do have. I guess it was. I don't know if it's a big release. It was the #1 movie this week, but it was kind of a big bomb that I'll be talking about today. But I guess it's kind of spooky.
Yeah, a little bomb is spooky for those involved. for the accountants over there at is that a Warner Brothers joint? TRON?
It's Disney.
It's a Disney joint. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they can stomach it. I think. I think they can absorb some losses over there at the Big D. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and they kind of probably deserve to lose on this one because Jared Leto sucks.
Jared Leto does suck. Yeah. Do like Greta Lee? Do like a lot of people involved in that, other than the creepy weirdo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy who was making up things about him getting sent anthrax and stuff. So, but other than that, the rest of them seem okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that seems like it's something. Yeah, that Tron areas, like we'll talk about it, but a couple of releases this week would have been perfect for me to truck over to Albany and use my Regal Unlimited. These, Tron Ares and I think there's a few of them out there right now that are kind of perfect. Like, if you don't want to pay money to see these, you didn't lose anything by going out and seeing these with Regal Unlimited. So yeah, seems like the perfect time for those.
I even felt bad supporting it though with my my AMC. I was almost like, maybe I should just go and watch some other movie, like, give my not money to some other movie, because that does still factor in like box office and all that stuff. But I was like, you know what, I'll be the canary in the coal mine and go see Tron Ares so I can warn the masses about it.
yeah, there you go. We'll get to that later. A little bit of TV and movie news. Lost another big one this week. Diane Keaton passed away this week at the age of 79. Honestly, not too familiar with her work over the years. Obviously, huge actress in the 70s with Godfather 1 and 2. I've never seen part 3. Have you?
I haven't even seen part 2, actually. So
what? Say what?
We talked about this. We've talked about this multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Well, I haven't even seen Godfather until a couple of years ago.
All right, fair enough. She's obviously won Academy Award for Best Actress in Annie Hall in 1977. Did a lot of, not activist work, but she played activist Louise Bryant in the historical epic Reds. Speaking of a Robert Redford movie, but it was a Warren Beatty directed movie. That was Reds. A bunch of stuff that I'm really not, unfortunately, familiar with. How about you, Derick? Are you more familiar than I with Diane Keaton?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those things. I'm like, oh yeah, Diane Keaton's so famous. I was thinking, how have I not seen that much of her stuff? I've obviously seen, like I mentioned, The Godfather. I've seen Annie Hall, where she plays the titular character. And I don't really like that movie, but it's not because of her. She's great in it. But yeah, probably could be a little more familiar with her stuff than I am.
Yeah, did at least twice here on her Wikipedia entries, Annie Hall and Manhattan, working with Woody Allen. Trying to see if there's anything else.
They have a personal history too. Yeah, Woody Allen was asked her out, I think, and she said no or something like that.
Well, there you go. Well, that's good. Good instincts on that one right there. Yeah. Father of the Bride, part 1 and 2 are known as all-time classics. Is that what's that writer that Amanda Dobbins always brings up that does a lot of romantic comedies?
I don't know. I don't listen. I don't
You don't
know.
listen to You don't listen.
Amanda
You're not a
Dobbins.
big pick aficionado.
No, I'm
No,
afraid not.
unfortunately not. No. First Wyatt's Club was a classic in the 1996. Town and Country, yeah, but a bunch of big, rom-coms under her belt. Apparently.
Yeah, very, very
Yeah.
prolific in that kind of arena. She's kind of a pioneer when it comes to,
Yeah.
she's like the opposite of a manic pixie dream girl. She's like a real person reading someone in a romantic comedy, you know.
Yeah, I guess you did sort of pioneer that, or make that archetype very popular back then with the hat and the suits and all that stuff.
But like it's like one of those things that the imitators just took the parts of it, like, oh, she wears a hat and a suit, and missed the fact that she's an actual interesting character. So it's like as we'll get to probably with the next topic, just like somebody does a style of something, and then there's a bunch of imitators that suck.
Well, there you go. Nice segue. So Diane Keaton passed away this week at 79, which is kind of young these days. 79.
Yeah. Every time somebody who is about the same age or younger than a certain sitting president passes away, I'm just like, why did they die first? Well, Keaton, come on, man, we could have kept her around and lost somebody else.
Yep. Speaking of presidents, speaking of former sitting presidents, this week Mark Maron had his last guest at his last show this week. Did you click on the link, or do you want to guess who was his last guest?
I did click on the link, so I do know who it was.
We'll leave it up to we'll give the audience a few seconds to guess who Mark Maron's last guest was. Give you all a hint. The people listening, give you all a hint. It was he's been on a show before. It's one of the most downloaded episodes of a podcast ever. 3, 2, 1. It was Mr. Barack Obama again. His very infrequently Maron has guests on twice or 3 times, and is one of his first times having a second have somebody on for the second time. So, like I mentioned before, I've been a huge listener of podcasts in general, and Mark Maron's show is not the first one out there. It came out in 2008, 2009, so a couple of years after they first started coming out, but definitely hit a stride very early on. And one of the most prolific guys. He does a show twice a week, which you and I know from just doing a show every 2 weeks. It's still a work to do that. Do a show every 2 weeks. I could just imagine, or I actually can imagine doing 2 shows a week, lining up the interviews, doing the scheduling, having a good conversation, editing it, putting it out, promoting it, all that stuff, doing that twice a week for 16 years, more than 1,600 episodes. So I just could not fathom, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. Like you said, we I barely keep together doing one show every other week. So doing 2 whole episodes every single week would be, so 4 times as much work. Obviously that would be quite a bit, and because you got to get guests, you got to do all this stuff, and obviously he's not editing it and promoting it on the same level that we are. He obviously has people for it, but it's still a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Yeah. Didn't listen to the show yet, but I will be listening. Like I said, I was an avid listener for a long time. Sort of fell off last couple of years just because I had a day job, and it was much easier to llisten to when I was working at night. It was much more prolific listening to podcasts when I was working my overnight shifts, because that's pretty much all you have to do. But now I'm back on the day walkers. Much harder to find hours in the day to listen to podcasts. But yeah, definitely will be listening to the last one. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't really listened to... I like Maron. I just watched his stand-up special. I haven't really ever listened to his podcast, though, so I was like, maybe this is his last one, is the one to listen to. I guess better late than never.
One to hop on, yeah. Got quite a backlog to catch up on. What was else I going to say about that? Oh, yeah, you said Maron's a cool guy, and he is a cool guy. He is a... I don't know if it's tough to have your finger on the pulse these days, or have... I don't know how tough it is to have, like, the quote-unquote right view, because recently, I'm specifically referencing the stuff he's been talking about recently, where he's going out and saying, the manosphere and the Roganites and all these people just making terrible decisions and saying terrible things and taking money from terrible people. Obviously, that's kind of easy to do, to not take money from terrible people, but then he's also calling out, the guys on the edges of the Rogan place, Shane Gillis and all those types, and Brendan Schaub and all these acolytes, all these hangers on of Rogan. He was calling out as well. So, yeah, it's got to be, again, talking about things that are tough. It's got to be tough to be in a position where you're bringing in hundreds of $1 millions a year, and you don't want that to stop ever, right? You want to keep doing that and kind of keep bringing the money in. And I can assume at a certain point you know that you don't want any of a potential audience to be severed. So I can empathize to a certain degree with Rogan and with those types of guys where they're like, well, I just want as much money as possible. I just want many people listening. So I'm just gonna be kind of a shithead. I'm gonna both sides everything. I'm gonna let right-wing nut jobs have insane talking points and not push back at all. I don't agree with the things he's doing, but I can agree with having to have a manager, an agent, having these people in your orbit who you want to take care of. And I can imagine wanting that spigot, that money spigot, to keep going as long as possible, and doing things that you very extraordinarily morally corrupt, right? But doing those things to keep the money coming in some way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, also one of the reasons he was so big on calling out the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and a lot of comedians who I actually have a lot of respect for. I've lost a lot of respect for doing that. He and randomly Shane Gillis were like the only people who have been really comedians who've been speaking out against it. And obviously, like, you know, there's a lot of fucked up shit that the Saudis have been giving money to. Yeah, it's messed up that they went and did that, and good on Marin for calling it out, because, yeah, if you say, you know, fuck Donald Trump and fuck all his acolytes, then people might be less willing to give your money. But that's so, you know, I'm glad that he's doing that.
Yeah, specifically fuck Bill Burr, like especially because he's this guy that was for so long like, fuck the billionaires, man, fuck these goddamn fucking billionaires, fuck the banks, fuck everything. They're taking us money, they're taking us for a ride, fuck them, and then just goes over there and takes a bunch of money from Saudi billionaires. Yeah, I would be interested to know.
That's the one that hurt the most, honestly. I was just like, really, what the fuck.
What? Yeah, I'd be interested to know like exact dollar amounts, and at the very least, it's not gonna like you said, he's fuck him forever, basically for what he was doing, for taking the money, but also just I would like to know how much it was, and if he's going to try to like donate it to somebody, like try to smooth out a little bit, just to say, hey, I know I took a bunch of fucking money from a bunch of fucking Saudis, but here's some money to a you know, recovery you know, battered women's shelter or something. Give it at least, say you're going to donate it to somebody, right?
I know that a couple of them, I don't know if it was Bill Burr, but like Aziz Ansari and a few people have been like after the fact been like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna donate to some of my feed to I think it was ACLU, and the ACLU is like, we're not going to take this money.
Oh yeah, so, I think I did see that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that going around, which is, you know, it's just damage control.
Yeah, literally just that. Yeah. All right. So with that, let's move on to what we've been watching. Watched a crap ton of stuff. Do wanted to just call out that I think I made a little bit of a boo-boo putting these certain movies on my list, because I've had a decent time going through the Hooptober. So we're getting into our Hooptober section here as well, and my been watching banner, sub banner Hooptober. I'm getting blasted through them. I've seen 12 of the 32 on my list. It is as we talk, it's the 13th, so I'm a little bit behind. So far, have a pretty decent time with it. I've talked about Vivarium early on, liked that quite a bit. The stuff I've had on my list here wasn't for Hooptober, but it was a movie called Cloud. If everybody's ever seen the movie Cure by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, it's a classic amongst people that like that type of movie. It's kind of like Ring without the ring. It's very reminiscent of like a Fincher movie. I can see if I could definitely understand if Fincher said that Kiyoshi Kurosawa was a huge influence on him, because the movie is Cure specifically is full of dread, full of these quiet moments of guys talking in rooms and then just violence erupting. So I'd highly recommend checking out his stuff that's streaming right now on Criterion Channel, which is also where I checked out his newest feature, Cloud. Came out this year, and it is amazing. It is essentially about Yoshi, a factory worker who does online reselling, which is, I was watching this, I was like, is that still a thing? Like, for some reason, I always picture like, bots, Amazon bots and eBay bots just buying up kind of all this stuff and just, reselling it very quickly. But apparently, people, real human beings, are still doing this. So this is a story about him, and he's reselling questionable goods of questionable quality and of questionable, like it might be a ripoff of certain items. So he's selling those to people on bulk, by the bulk, and people are coming after him because they're like, hey, you sold me a shitty knockoff version of a thing that I paid thousands and thousands of dollars for. So it turns ugly very quickly as these guys sort of try to find him, track him down and find him and do bad things to him. So the movie definitely does a very cool thing where it sort of moves between genres. The first one is this quiet, chamber piece about a guy who's very just a sad, office worker who's trying to make a bunch of money and best way he knows how, and he has a girlfriend who's sort of on the side, and she also is a very interesting character because you sort of see her in the background a little bit, like just being sort of a normal girlfriend, and then as the movie progresses, you're like, oh, she's actually in on this. She's actually playing him, or is she playing him? Is she on his side? It's interesting back and forth there. So yeah, I don't want to get too much of the spoilers about the plot or anything, but suffice to say, it's one of my favorite movies of this year so far. So definitely check out Cloud, streaming now on the Criterion channel.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I've been seeing this one pop up in my what friends have been watching list on Letterboxd. So
yeah.
I think it's making the rounds.
Yeah, and just very quickly, just going to blast through a couple of them for the Hooptober. It's been doing pretty good rate recently of seeing at least one per day. Classic horror movie I've never seen before is actually Misery from 1990.
Wow.
Yeah. Never saw Misery, directed by Rob Reiner, obviously, starring Kathy Bates. She won her Oscar for this role. James Caan plays Paul Sheldon, the author, the Stephen King stand-in. And you actually have some cameos by Lauren Bacall, who plays Marcia in this movie. It was interesting. Well, I have a lot of thoughts on this because it's an interesting kind of throwback, but also not, because this movie came out in 1990, which was 1 year before Sounds of the Lambs. And this movie and Sounds of the Lambs, I think, aesthetically and tonally could not be different. This movie feels so like 80s-ish. It feels like Rob Reiner and maybe his cinematographer took a lot of lessons from somebody like Sam Raimi, because I feel like this is obviously a horror movie, but also it has a lot of canted angles and very close-up shots of Kathy Bates, like right in her face. So I feel like Rob Reiner probably took a lot of tips from Sam Raimi in that way. I also feel like the set design was really sparse compared to, again, 1 year later with Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs, you think about, Clarice going down into the psychiatric ward and meeting Lecter, and the walls, these gross, brick walls that are like wet and gross, and it just feels like there's so much personality in the set design of Silence of the Lambs. And here it feels like a play. It really does. Like obviously Paul Sheldon, gets in a car accident, and Annie Wilkes, Kathy Bates' character, is taking care of him. So it's naturally going to be in one room, and I get that. But it just feels so flat and lifeless. Like there's really nothing on the walls, nothing on the floor. It's just the bed and a window, and it just feels not claustrophobic too, because it feels so bright. I think they could have done a lot better with the set design there. But people don't talk about the set design when they talk about this movie. So obviously the performance Kathy Bates gives is incredible. And I think James Caan gets a little bit of short shrift when people talk about this movie. I think there's parts of this movie where he looks so just despondent, and he's just, what's that word where you're just like leaving your body, you're just pretending this isn't happening to you. Yeah, I forget that word is. You are disassociating. He's just like, okay, this is not actually happening to me. I think he plays that very well with his eyes. So yeah, really, really enjoyed my first watch of Misery.
It's a really good movie. I wouldn't even agree with your criticisms necessarily. I do think it is pretty claustrophobic, and just like this is the whole, because I like it because it's. This is supposed to be on its surface inviting, just like Annie, where, oh yeah, this is this nice place, I'm taking care of you, but the longer you stay there, the more you're uncomfortable. And yeah, I think both performances are really great. Jimmy Caan is one of my favorite actors. And just, that foot scene is so horrific. And it's just, I don't know, it's just some real great Stephen King shit, and I'm very hit or miss on Stephen King, as You know what? I don't even did I didn't talk about The Long Walk yet. I'll guess I'll get to that. I'll add it to the doc right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I'll talk about it right now. I'll
Okay, go
talk
ahead.
about The Long Walk because
Yeah, I talked about it
I
last week.
did
Yeah,
like Misery a lot.
yep.
Yeah, you talked about it last week. I'll just give my couple of my thoughts here on The Long Walk,
Go ahead.
which are that there was like it was what I said, like, oh, this is just kind of a boring Hunger Games knockoff. I know the short story predates the Hunger Games novels, whatever, but it's just like, let's get the guy who directed Hunger Games to do the Hunger Games to boring. There's a lot more shitting in the street than I had expected going in. There's a lot more of Mark Hamill being like, "All right, boys, you've got big nut sacks. You've got sacks that go on for days." There's a lot of that, but it's not that interesting. It doesn't really have that much social commentary that I found particularly engaging. But I will say, at the heart of it, there are two really, really great performances from Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson. Just kind of whenever there's a scene with just the two of them talking, or a few of the other boys, there's a lot of good actors in this, but there's a lot of great conversations in this. Not no You want to talk about something that doesn't have a lot of interesting things happening is this movie, just because
Yeah.
it's just like, hey, here's another road, here's more road. And I guess maybe the point is supposed to be boring, but I guess good job, you did it. But those conversations made the movie not a loss to me. I think the movie was decent because of that. There was some really engaging stuff the two of them were saying to each other. I agree with you about like the end not really paying off. The end, like the rest of the movie, was pretty meh for me. So I think that's the kind of way Stephen King stuff can go. Is he does it, especially King stuff based on this time period when he'd be like, I'm gonna do a bunch of cocaine and have all these crazy ideas, and you're like, all right, Steven, what do we got here? And sometimes they hit, and sometimes they're just like, this one's a little much, Steve. Can we dial it back?
Yes. Yeah, just talk about this for a little bit because, I want to talk about the ending, but I do want to give a shout out to, what's his name, Ben Wang, who is one of the best, one of the best personalities of this movie. Just very out there and boisterous and, talking a mile a minute and just very, passionate at the beginning. And then that is one of the hearts, the heart of the movie, I think. Well, not the heart, but one of the hearts of the movie is his character and how he slowly breaks down over the course of The Long Walk.
Yeah, he's great. He's kind of a rising star. He just appeared in the new Karate Kid movie, which is another movie I didn't love, but he was really good in it. A lot of really good young actors in this. You see all these different dynamics of these character interactions. It's just that, like, those interactions are a lot more interesting and cool when it's like, oh shit, we're like hunting each other and like I'm trying to protect this young girl from these killers, rather than like, whoa, you stopped the shit? You better hurry up. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the ending? Because I thought that was when I mentioned it, when I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's just they're doing the end game thing of like, no, I'm going to sacrifice myself. Did you get a little annoyed that it felt like they were, when they were writing the script at the very end, they were like, wait, who should die? They couldn't figure out who was actually going to die or not.
It was that, and it was also just like, what's going to happen after, Cooper Hoffman eats it, and it's like, oh, he just, because David Johnson, he's like, he's going to change the world with all his ideas, and then he just shoots him. Like, I was like, I thought you convinced him that was a bad idea, but like, all right, I guess sometimes you need to take, but I'm like, you just shot one mid-ranking official. I guess, is that going to change things? And then he just kind of walks away and nobody says anything, and then the movie ends, and I'm like, man, the Hunger Games, when they fucking blew shit up at the Hunger Games, we had 3 more movies of seeing revolution. Where's the revolution? Like, I don't know. I guess that was probably not in the scope of this movie, but it just felt like, oh, so that's the end, is you kill one mid-ranking official, and maybe, possibly, it's going to make a difference, but who knows? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. What was the thing about the end too that I was wanting to ask you about? Damn, I had a question. I forgot it. But yeah, really emotional at the end, or near the end. Like you said, when Cooper Hoffman is talking to his mom, he sees her there. That was really good.
Yeah.
Good movie overall. But yeah, definitely shits the bed. in a way.
Yeah, it's mid
so to
for me.
speak.
It's very mid for me.
Very mid. Yeah, quite a few mid things out there right now. Let me see. So yeah, that was The Long Walk. What else? A couple more things from my Hooptober trek so far. I watched The Last Man on Earth, which is the first film adaptation of I Am Legend. This is starring Vincent Price and Franca Betoya. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think you got
Betoya.
it. Sounds right to me.
Sounds right. Yeah. So, if you've seen I Am Legend or read the books or seen maybe Omega Man, which I need to check out now as well, just to see how they compare to obviously the Will Smith version. This was interesting. It's Vincent Price by himself, which he's one of these guys that you always think about seeing in ensemble movies. I haven't actually seen too much Vincent Price horror movies. I've seen a lot of the Hammer horror stuff, like Frankenstein and Dracula and things like the house. I think it was called House of Frankenstein that he was in. I've seen what it was called, like Mask of the Red Death, I think was one of his, from 1964. Oh, same year. Interesting. So yeah, Mask of the Red Death was also very good. And what I didn't realize was that he was the inventor in Edward Scissorhands. Yeah, didn't make that connection until just now.
I do not even remember that. I barely remember that movie. So I was like, sure, I guess he was. I don't remember it.
His quote unquote dad, I think, is what people remember him as.
Okay.
Yeah, the inventor.
No,
so there was that. So this movie, Last Man on Earth, it's pretty good. Again, it's one of those things where it's 60. Yeah, is it 60 years? Yeah, 60 years on. From the time period and the production value and the set design and set design and special effects are obviously dated, but I think it still works with Vincent Price's. Performance in here. It is an interesting thing to look back on and how Blade Runner has a version with a voiceover and one doesn't, right?
Yes. There's the theatrical cut, and then then there's like 18 cuts, but the theatrical one has the voiceover, and the director's cut, final cut, they don't.
Yeah, and I don't honestly know. I have to go back and look and watch those two back to back to see how I feel about them. But this has a voiceover. I think if I had to guess, it was just something where it's 1964. People are not going to watch, basically a silent movie, in that day and age. But I think it would have worked a lot better if there wasn't a voiceover. They show. So picture, I Am Legend, the Will Smith version where he's doing all the stuff that he's doing. But picture that with a voiceover that's telling you what he's doing while you're watching it. And I'm like, this is not necessary. He's literally just narrating the things he's doing while he's doing them. I'm like, I could have done without that. But still interesting to watch the first iteration of the first adaptation of I Am Legend. One more thing, I watched Dead of Night, which is, I think it's brought up a lot on those 100 best horror movies of all time that they always do on Shudder, right? They do some of those, or they weren't doing annually, but they're on there. Yeah, I think Dead of Night is
those are always cool. I like those. Yeah,
it's Dead of Night is brought up a lot as one of the first. One of the first and best anthology movies, which this is. I really enjoy the wraparound story and the way they present the anthologies in this, because it's about a guy who goes to a country farmhouse to do architectural work, and he goes there and he's like, "Oh my God, I've dreamt about you people, and you and you and you and you were there." And there's people around him are like, "Really? What did we do?" And I was like, he says, "Well, you did this and that, this, that, and the other thing." And people are like, "Wow, that's weird." I also have a weird story, so that's where then they go on to tell.
Okay, it's one of those. Yeah.
They go on to tell.
It's a very Canterbury Tales almost,
Yeah. So good way to present it, and some very good performances in here in the last story, which was called The Ventriloquist's Dummy, which I think is probably the most influential one. If you've ever seen Dead Silence or anything, any movie or any book the Goosebumps, I know a lot of the Goosebumps books.
I was going to say, there's a whole thing with the dummy and Goosebumps. There's a whole spin-off series.
Yeah. So this was good. That version, the quote unquote original version of the ventriloquist dummies was very good. One of the actor in that was Michael Redgrave. Gave a great performance of a guy, just having these very schizophrenic behavior where the doll is talking and he's talking and the doll says "You shut up, no, you shut up," and then he that sort of thing. So yeah, I would just check it out honestly for that last 30 minutes, and that's basically what I've been watching on there on my Trek through Hooptober. So again, you can go to my watch list, go to my list on Letterboxd, Midnight Film Pod on there to check out my list and follow along with me.
Very cool, yeah. Watching all those good horror movies. I am not doing the Hooptober, nor have I, but more power to you.
Yeah. It's going pretty well. All right, so that's everything. Almost everything I've watched. Derick, what you watched, like we mentioned at the beginning, Tron Ares. You went into quite a bit of it. Do you want to dive any deeper and tell us why you didn't care for Tron Ares?
Yeah, this is one that I was like, I was even not even sure if I wanted to go see it because I really love the Tron films. I obviously the first one came out much before I was born. The second one came out when I was in college, and just being like, the first one is so revolutionary. It doesn't really hold up by today's standards, but you're like, wow, it's crazy they made this shit in 1982. They were like, what will happen with computers? They'll get Jeff Bridges and he'll become a man in the computer and there'll be tanks. It's like, all right, cool, whatever. And the second one is actually like, I think pretty supremely underrated. Like I covered it a while back. I love that second one. It's got that Daft Punk soundtrack. It's so cool. You're in this insane virtual world and it's got all these like quasi-religious themes and it's bio-digital jazz, man. And then this one is like, how about this? How about Jared Leto? And you're like, ooh, I don't know about that. I really don't like him. There's all the there's that tweet that's like, well, with Jared Leto, not only is he box office poison, and do people hate working with him, and is he? There's also the allegations. So it's like there's a lot going against you when it comes to casting Jared Leto. So I was not on board with that, but like we were saying, Greta Lee's in it. There's a lot of Jeff Bridges came back for some reason. There's not really a lot that I was in, too drawn to. It's interesting because they're like very heavily promoting the fact that Nine Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack, which admittedly the soundtrack is awesome, and it was one of the reasons I wanted to go see it. I saw it in a Dolby theater with like the best possible sound and vision and screen that I could. But also I'm just like, why aren't they like Nine Inch? This isn't like the first movie Nine Inch Nails has done. They just say Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. Like, it's not like they did Inside Out 2 together. I'm not like getting ads for Nine Inch Nails working on Inside Out 2 or every David Fincher movie going back to The Social Network. It's kind of weird that that's the way they're pitching it. It's still cool, but that was probably my favorite part of the movie was the soundtrack, which, by the way, as good as it is, does not hold up to the Daft Punk one. Jared Leto's whole plot of him like learning to be a real boy, like his whole Pinocchio journey, and is not good or interesting. And Jared Leto being a bad actor makes it a lot hard to watch. Tron isn't spoilers, but Tron is not even in this movie, which is annoying because the movie is called Tron. So that's a big bummer. No Bruce Boxleitner, and then. Also, what was cool about those first two movies is like, hey, wow, we are going into this digital world. Look at all this stuff we've never seen before. This crazy computer imagery. These people that are, like they're projected into this insane environment. And this one, it's just like, yeah, but now we have downtown Vancouver. Isn't that interesting? And you're like, okay, it's like, I can see the like thought process of being like, hey, it's kind of cool to see a light cycle in the real world, and also probably that's going to be a lot cheaper to shoot, which is I think the real reason that so much of this movie happens in the real world, and there's very, very, very little set in a digital world. So it's really just not that cool to even look at, which is a bummer to say for a Tron movie. So really, I have no real way to recommend this at all. I think that there's a couple Tron fans that are hanging on to nostalgia. Like I said, that second Tron movie rules, and this one just does not even measure up to the 82 one.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. Let me see who else. So like you said, Greta Lee. Unfortunately, Jared Leto is in this. Any other supporting cast that made this worth it at all? Let's see.
No, I mean, Evan Peters is in it, and he's just kind of like being like, hey, this part was originally probably supposed to be Cillian Murphy,
Yeah.
but instead of like now he's just Cillian Murphy because there's like the bad guy in the first one, and then he's like Cillian Murphy's like Ed Dillinger Jr., and then it's like, oh, but he had a sister, and it's what's her name from the X-Files, Gillian Anderson, and
Yeah.
then Evan Peters is her son, so it's just like I don't know. They're like Gillian Anderson is never bad, but she doesn't have anything interesting to do,
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greta Lee is good, but she also doesn't have really that much interesting to do.
Yeah.
It's mostly just Jared Leto going around being, on his little Pinocchio the Tin Man journey.
Jesus. That's awful. All right. Maybe I'll check
Yeah,
it
it
out if it
sucks.
comes
It
to
sucks.
VOD. Yeah. All right. So that was
Yeah,
Tron Ares.
just wait for it to
Yeah.
be on Disney Plus. Honestly.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's that. Next up, you have Peacemaker. I believe the second season just completed. Right? Did you check out the entire second season?
Yeah, I was watching this
Nice.
week to week, and I was really digging the second season. Have you watched it at all?
I have not yet. No.
Okay, I won't. I'll just say this without spoiling it. There's a really interesting thing they do where they go to this alternate reality, where it seems like everything's really great, and Chris should go, should go and like live there, and like, things are so much better for him there. And anytime you see something like that in the movie or TV show, you're like, there's something else going on here. And I don't know if you've seen on the social media, it's like a lot of people kind of quickly figured out what was going on in that alternate reality. And they do some really interesting stuff with that. And I think season 6 and 7 or episode 6 and 7 of this are really fascinating in the way they dive into that alternate reality. And then season 8 or episode 8 happens and they kind of just don't do anything with that. And episode 8 just kind of like, it just kind of ends on a whimper. And there's some interesting character beats, but it doesn't feel like they're not really earned. They don't follow up on the stuff they set up. It feels like they're just like, this one felt in a way that Peacemaker season 1 did not at all. Felt like that last episode was just there to set up the next season. So that was a bit disappointing. Overall, really liked the season, but it ended on a real low note for me.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, this is like sort of a continuation of the Alien Earth and other things from previous this year with Last of Us season 2. It's just, seems to be really, really difficult to put out genre television right now. I mean, I keep hearing good things about Task and about other, non-superhero, non-sci-fi, non-IP stuff. So I might tip my hat that way and see what else is cooking on the other side of TV right now.
Yeah. I mean, I still do recommend Peacemaker. It's not as much of a letdown as Alien Earth was, but just a little bit deflating there at the end.
Gotcha. A couple more things from my Hooptober. I want to shout out real quick. Speaking of, weird dudes, weird guys, like you said, Jared Leto was in Tron Ares. We got, do you know Vincent Gallo? Are you familiar with the name Vincent Gallo?
It rings a bell, but I don't know who that is.
He's sort of the 90s Jared Leto. Very angry, sexual assault, possibly. Yeah. Mm. He made the movie Brown Bunny. Are you familiar with the stuff from Brown Bunny, the known quantity? Yeah, so that's Brown Bunny is one of the few movies, a few like feature length and widely distributed movies with actual sex, real sex. Real fellatio in that movie. And so he's sort of that guy. He was in a movie called Buffalo 66 with Christina Ricci, and he's been Brown Bunny featured Chloe Sevigny in that film as well. So he's sort of fallen off mainstream Hollywood for a long time now, but he was a hot new thing back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he was starred in a Claire Denis movie, which I saw because it was on the list. It was on the Criterion channel, where they had best 2000s movies. So I'll definitely be checking out stuff like what was that movie with Harrison Ford? What Lies Beneath. I'll be checking that out on there as well. Right. So I've never seen that one. I heard good things about it. And I also heard good things about Trouble Every Day, which is a Claire Denis movie from 2001. And I heard it was like maybe vampire-ish, maybe cannibalistic stuff, but it was also, very artsy-fartsy. So I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And I didn't really dig it very much at all because it features Vincent Gallo doing Vincent Gallo things. I was like, that's not great. That sucks. So it's on there. If you want to have a skeezy time, skeezy 90 minutes, then check it out maybe. But I do not recommend Trouble Every Day, which is kind of big. Yeah, it's kind of a disappointment just to me because I've liked Claire Denis stuff. I liked Beau Travail from 99. I liked High Life from 2018 with Robert Pattinson. I liked Stars at Noon, one of her movies from 2022 with Margaret Qualley in it. That was actually very good, so I was highly looking forward to Trouble Every Day, but unfortunately cannot recommend that film. So, yeah.
Okay,
unfortunate. Yeah. So, yeah, back to you for your last thing of the show. We got Bringing Out the Dead, classic 99. And this was probably on a lot of the lists when people were doing their, best of 99 list. I know it was on a Scorsese Screen Drafts list. Tell me what you thought of Bringing Out the Dead.
Yeah, this is an interesting movie. Obviously, I was excited to watch a movie that I'd heard talked about a lot, but I didn't really know too much about it. And it was, it's definitely not one of those movies I feel like gets talked about with the upper echelon of Scorsese movies, like Goodfellas and stuff like that, because it's not a gangster movie. It's a very you wouldn't know it's a Scorsese movie by watching it. You might know it's a Paul what's his name Paul Schrader movie.
Yeah.
By watching it, because he's got his few collaborations with Schrader, and it is a little bit like Taxi Driver. But I was intrigued because it's like, okay, Nick Cage, Martin Scorsese, and it's basically about this ambulance driver in New York City in the early 90s, and it's weird. It's like, it almost does fit into like the spooky season vibes, because he's almost like this Grim Reaper who goes around, because he's out there to like quote unquote save people, but he really, there's this like Bringing Out the Dead. It's kind of refers to the fact that he's kind of just ushering a lot of these souls to the other side, and do they want to like come back when he's like reviving them and stuff like that. It's not like overtly supernatural, but there are a little bit of elements of that take place throughout the movie. A lot of great performances in this. He has a couple partners throughout the course of the movie. He rides along with John Goodman and Ving Rhames and Tom Sizemore at various points in the movie, and it just it feels a lot like something that would be a 8-episode prestige series if it came out today, and each episode would be another day on the job or whatever. Overall, I think I liked it, but it's not top tier Scorsese movies for me. That is such a high bar, I feel like, but it's definitely some interesting stuff, some territory he hasn't really tackled before, and because he's such an interesting, innovative filmmaker, he takes this story that, and because Cage is such an interesting, unique actor, takes this story that would be normally pretty, could be very, copycat, just like generic stuff, and makes it very, very dreamlike and unlike a lot of things that I've seen, especially from the time.
Yeah, glad you liked it. This is, speaking of, things that epitomize the 1999, late 90s. This is one of those things. This feels like right in there with, this is the same year. I didn't realize it was the same year as 8mm, another Nick Cage, dirty, grimy, movie. 99 is just chock full of stuff like this. Fight Club is dirty, wet, grimy. Trying to find other examples that not coming to mind right now, but yeah, it is that time period of just like pushing boundaries, making things just putting things out there that are just gross. They're just gross. That's the word I can only think of is just Fight Club and this, and obviously Fincher. Did Seven, many years before this, but I feel like 99 with movies like this were just highly influenced by Fincher and this like new age of, this decade of, people being punched in the face and people just going off the edge and people just doing drugs and drinking and just having the worst time. This movie definitely epitomizes a lot of that philosophy going around that time period.
Yeah, like Cliff Curtis, you meet him and you're like, this is the chillest drug dealer of all time. And then he's like, 2 scenes later, he has like a like railing sticking through his stomach, and you're like hanging like 50 stories in the air, and you're like, man, okay, bummer, man.
Yep. Yeah. Speaking of Clifton Curtis, is he in? Let me see. The movie we actually talked about in your podcast, Rules of Attraction. Believe he was in that, and was that the? Let me see. Was that the same year? Was that in 1999? Rules of Attraction. Try to find it here.
I think that's 2002.
2002, yeah. So, but similar vibes, similar drug fueled vibes in Rules of Attraction, and Clifton Curtis in that movie as well. Very similar characters. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I could see it.
Yeah. So that was stuff we've been watching. There's more stuff on my watch list, so I won't mention it. But if you want to go check out all my stuff on Midnight Film Pod, you can check it out over there. All right. So with that, let's move on to Letterboxd assignments. Well, I did not watch my assignment because I was Googling the synopsis and I was looking at what it was about. I was like, nah, not really in the mood for just a dreamlike little movie like The Swimming Pool, which was my assignment from last time. Also did not check out Plague of Zombies because it was actually one of the few movies I could not find anywhere. I mean, it was there. It was places. You know, it was on like Daily Motion. It was on like Tubi, but I did not feel like firing up either of those two services. So I will pivot mine to next time. Derick, did you check out The Thin Red Line?
I did not, but if I do watch it before Friday, I will. I'm planning on watching it. We just had a quicker turnaround. Yeah. I will send you a little video file if you're able to just insert it here, and then I'll be like, hey, this is what I thought about The Thin Red Line here. So yeah, just getting this review here in at the 11th hour, quite literally. Sorry, Damian, I know you gotta splice this in before the episode comes out in just a few hours. But I really, really did think that this movie was quite a masterpiece. If you've seen Malick movies before, then you know kind of what to expect. There's a lot of long, beautiful shots of nature and close-up of birds and voiceover, and this feels very appropriate for the film that he's making here, which is just kind of about the beauty but also the destructive nature of nature itself, and how humanity is a part of that, set against the backdrop of World War II. Following a large number of characters, I think that this movie is one that's going to stick with me for quite some time. And unlike, some other films that I feel like, kind of seek to portray war as this very destructive, pointless endeavor, but sometimes end up glamorizing it. This does not glamorize it in any way. Just absolutely fantastic film, beautiful and haunting at the same time. Wow! What a great thing you said there, Derick. If you indeed end up watching it. Wow, okay, very, very good. And now I'll get to my watch list for next time. Cogent, amazing, etiquette, very well said thoughts. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah. All right, so that's we'll pivot I'll pivot mine for next time because you watched yours. We know that. Yes, we know that. So for next, Derick has watched it. Yeah, so we saw those. Actually, yeah, let's do. So do you want to get a Letterboxd assignment now, or do you want to pivot for next time? Yeah, I will go ahead and get it, and let me hit shuffle, and I got, this is appropriate for, what just came out. I got Hard 8, Paul Thomas Anderson's first movie, I think, one of the few of his I have not seen, except for one scene randomly at the end. But yeah, Hard 8, that is my assignment for next time. One of the best debut films of all time, I would say. Yeah, very, very good. Oh, wow, okay. All right, so you'll be watching that for next time. And for next time, October 17th, we have Luca Guadagnino's newest film, After the Hunt. I think I might have mentioned this when we were talking about, festival movies coming out and movies we're looking forward to this fall season. Did mention it was getting a soft reception for After the Hunt, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of people in that I've liked very much. Ayo Edebiri and Julia Roberts. Definitely still looking forward to checking it out. I also have, for the spooky season continuing, we have The Black Phone Part 2. Death is just a word, apparently, is the tagline for this movie. Ethan Hawke reprising his role as John Blackphone. I have to assume that's his name. Or no, it's actually is it the Strangler? It's the grabber. Snatcher.
The Snatcher, the Grabber.
Is it the Grabber or the Snatcher?
I think it's the Grabber.
The Grabber. It is the Grabber, yeah.
Yeah. The Grabber's alive. Yeah.
It's such a fucking lame name. The Grabber. He'll grab you. Watch out. He'll get you. And now he's dead, but don't worry. That's just a word.
Just a word, apparently.
We needed to bring him back for the sequel.
Yep.
Now he's Freddy Krueger, apparently.
Apparently.
Get you in your dreams.
Yeah. The following week, October 25th, big movie that we're looking forward for a while. Looking forward to for a while. Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. Obviously,
we've been looking forward to that for a while. I mean, I maybe you have, but
look forward just in the sense that seeing what the hubbub is about, see if they do a decent job, see if a biopic in 2025 can succeed. I think I think I was overall positive on what was the one from last year, the Bob Dylan movie.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. They're all those biopics are the same.
Yeah, definitely.
They kind of all run together.
They tend to do that. One movie I've been looking forward to for a while because it came up on, it came through the festival circuit. If I had legs, I'd kick you, which is just a great name. I love movies with long titles. I was talking about Human as a Vampire, Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person, which we forgot to do the fucking top 5. Fuck.
I was like, are we just not gonna do the whole thing of the show?
Well, I didn't even make the list, so my bad.
I was like, I have my list ready.
You have your list,
and then you're like, all right, Letterboxd assignments. I'm
to be fair, you told me at 4:00 today that you wanted to do the show tonight, so I didn't have enough time to prepare. But that's my bad. Do you want to do it now? Do you want to do it now, or do you want to do it next time?
It's up to you, man. We can do it next time if you want.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot.
It's
God damn it. All right. So anyway, speaking of horror movies, or speaking of what did I say? Speaking of movies I'm looking forward to, I guess. Got it totally sidetracked. If I had legs, I'd kick you. Speaking of movies looking forward to this year, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, directed by Mary Bronstein, starring Rose Byrne, Delaney Quinn, and Mary Bronstein. The synopsis is, with her life crashing down around her, Linda attempts to navigate her child's mysterious illness, her absent husband and a missing person, and an increasing hostile relationship with her therapist, played by Conan O'Brien. So it'll be interesting to see him.
I did see that Conan was in this, and it's one of those few times he's not just playing himself.
Yeah, doing a serious role, so that should actually be quite interesting. Yeah, and alongside that, we have House of Dynamite, another festival darling, the newest from what is her name? Former Miss Cameron, former Miss James Cameron.
Catherine Bigelow.
Yes. Haven't been excited about a Catherine Bigelow movie in a while. I think her last outing was Detroit a couple of years ago. Hasn't had too much on the radar recently, but looking forward to this. Idris Elba is in this, Rebecca Ferguson, Jared Harris, Tracy Letts. The synopsis is, when a single unattributed missile is launched at the United States, a race begins to determine who is responsible and how to respond. So it's very similar to a movie I watched not too long ago called Failsafe, a great movie from the 60s about the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it seems very similar to that. So I'll be looking forward to that. All right. So, plug of the podcast, Medium, Substack, Damian.sherman.medium.com. Go to there. Go to Midnight Film Pod, like I said multiple times. Film Essayist on YouTube, Spotify for podcasters. Go to Hey Riddle Riddle Discords, iFanboy Discords. I'm the Blair Bitch for this holiday spooky season. So check me out on all those places. Derek, what you got to plug?
My plug is the Underrated Movie Podcast, which you can find by typing in Underrated Movie Podcast, however you're listening to this, or on all the social medias at Underrated Movie Podcast or at underratedmoviepodcast.com. There we look at films that are underrated, underappreciated, and ones that have gone under the radar. This last week, I talked about Once Upon a Time in Mexico with my buddy Kurosh, and for spooky season, I am going to next week be talking about the 2011 remake of Fright Night. Had a lot of fun talking about that. The Anton Yelchin movie where in a Las Vegas suburb, Colin Farrell is a sexy vampire. If that isn't enough to get you on board for that movie, I don't know what else to tell you. So, definitely go check out Underrated if you're looking to hear about some movies that deserve some more attention.
All right. And so for Midnight Film Society, I have been Damian.
I've been Derick.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.